Dice Tower Tonight, Episode 2.
Episode 2. Oh, wait, that's you says that. Technical stuff.
Welcome to Dice Tower Tonight, a video cast about board games and card games, and especially the people who play them. On tonight's show, Tom and I play show and tell with a few recent games, take a look behind the scenes at the Dice Tower, and then take your questions live. I'm Eric Summerer, and here's your host, the crow to my servo, Tom Vasel.
Hey, folks, I'm trying to show the... Okay, first of all, welcome to the show. I'm Tom Vasel.
Hi there, I'm Eric Summerer.
The problem with doing these live things is, folks, we're still learning a lot of things. In fact, I would have liked to have gotten here 20 minutes earlier, but there was a lot of traffic on the turnpike today. It's just that I'm trying to do it so that you folks can see the small screens in Google Chat, and I can't figure out how to show them to people. If anyone knows how to do that, I would love to show that.
It's live technical
but anyway.
It's live technical support night here on Dice Tower Tonight.
Well, I understand that, but again, this is, and also if you're listening to this on the audio show, folks, we really, you know, some people have complained that the audio is dreadful, and I'm not arguing that, but you guys begged for us to put this on the channel. It's hard to have both ways. The live audio is never going to be fantastic, so we're going to try to make it better as time goes by, but right now this is what you have. We're going to work on it, make it better, but if you find the audio just too bad and you're listening to this on the audio stream, then I would recommend that you wait till we get it fixed and just listen and skip everything that says Dice Tower Tonight.
That's one approach. Sure. Why not?
So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to let Eric talk about the first game, and I'm going to see if I can figure out how to show you guys the mini thing. I wish there was a way to... I wish Google Chat had a much better screen thing there.
So you're saying that for a change, you're not going to listen to me while I talk about the first game. That's what you're saying?
No, I'm going to listen to you so intently.
Okay. So first up is the game Hot Shots, which is the latest from Fireside Games. It is a cooperative game about fighting forest fires. I think I talked about this generally on the podcast not too long ago, but I finally got a chance to play it with my kids. And this is a game about trying to wipe out all of the forest fire in a particular grid-based map. You've got a bunch of tiles, and they look kind of like this. They have a building on them, and they have some sort of dice combination. They also have a scorch value that if too many fire tokens get placed on that space, that's going to flip over to the scorched side. Too many scorched tiles, you lose the game. The object is to get rid of all of these things. I want to show off the cool little... you got this bag full of fire tokens, fire minis. So as you move around, you are rolling dice, and it's sort of a push your luck dice game. You've got a certain number of symbols that you're trying to match on these dice. And you can roll and then bank a certain number of symbols and continue to roll. And as long as you can bank at least one symbol each time you roll, then you're still good. You can continue on, or you can choose to stop. If you match 3 of the symbols, you get like a little fire break, which prevents the fire from spreading. If you get 4 symbols, you get to remove some of the fire. Here's the cool fire. Look at that. Nice little 3D fire token. If you get 5 of them, you can remove 2 fire and get some other bonus. And if you get 6 symbols, then you get 3 fires taken off the board, and you get a bunch of bonuses. It's like jackpot. Each of the tiles also has special powers. There's a lake that offers support to neighboring tiles. There's a propane tank that if it scorches, it explodes and spreads fire everywhere. And there's all these character abilities, too, that are tied to specific locations on the board. So I may have an ability where I get to trade off on a couple of dice symbols and trade one for the other as much as I want. But if a particular tile gets scorched, that ability's gone. So I have this sort of personal goal to maintain that zone on the board. It's a tricky game. As with any dice rolling game, you're going to have the luck of the roll. And it can hose you pretty badly. It hose you because it's a fighting game. So we enjoyed it. My youngest got a little frustrated because he would make some decisions that the older child didn't necessarily agree with. We had sort of a proto-alpha gamer trying to tell the younger one what to do, but I was letting the younger one make his own decisions, and it sort of lost us the game in the end. But I think we had a good time. It's an interesting challenge, and I think one that the kids are going to enjoy playing for some time to come. Hot Shots from Fireside Games. I like it.
Fantastic. Actually, I've been meaning to play this one. I just got my copy. I have not yet been able to play it. Oh, well, I can't figure it out, folks. I would like to show us both at the same time, but I can't figure that out at this point in time. So you're just going to have to watch one of us at a time. So we'll start with Port Royal, or Port Royal. I've always said Port Royal. Is that wrong? Is it Port Royal?
It looks like Port Royal.
Yeah, you're probably right. So Port Royal is this is the new version from Steve Jackson. It was originally from Pegasus Games, and this is the new one. It's kind of weird though, because this is the box cover art, and then when you open up and look at the cards inside, this is the art inside. It looks like the lookout art. You know, it's Clemens Franz, I think, probably. You know, he has that certain style of art, which is fine. It's just very odd because this doesn't make me want to buy the game at all. This looks very boring and drab. It's like this guy's he's posing as a pirate at a costume party. Have you played Port Royal?
I believe I played the original version, yeah.
Yeah, this is a fantastic, amazing game. I really, really like this. What happens is you're flipping cards one at a time when it's your turn. And you can stop anytime you want because there are these ships here. And if you get two ships from the same nationality, boom, your turn's over. At any point, you can stop and you can take a ship, which will give you coins, or you can buy one of these dudes here, which will give you some sort of special ability. Now, why would you not stop as soon as you find something good? There's a couple reasons. If you get 4 ships of different nationalities, you get 2 cards. If you have 5 ships of different nationalities, you get 3 cards. Now, that's great, but it's still not the only reason. The other reason is that you might take a my mind just melted on air. Oh, you might take a card, but after you take a card, everyone else gets to take a card too, who after you in turn order. If there's enough cards to do that, they can take a card and get coins. They can buy a card, but they have to give you a coin for each time they do that. So the more cards that are out there, the more coins you might get. And that's pretty much it. You're trying to get a certain number of victory points. Each card has victory points on it. You can see this one here is worth 3 victory points. Some cards give you attack values. And when a ship comes up, so let's say this ship comes up, this American ship has a 2 attack value at the bottom. If I have 2 attack in front of me, I can discard that card. Hopefully, because I don't want 2 American cards in front of me. Although there are some cards with the skull and crossbones on that can't be attacked by anything. Other cards will give you certain symbols. These symbols are worthless by themselves, but if a mission comes up and you have the symbols on that, you can turn in those cards and get the mission card, which is worth quite a few points comparatively. That's pretty much it. That is Port Royal. It is easily one of my favorite push your luck games. It is a great, great game. I'm glad I have it. I don't like this box, but I like everything else about the game. It's a really fun game.
Did they make any changes between the original version and this one?
I'm going to have to put them side by side. The only change that I know off the top of my head is I'm pretty sure that the flags are now nationalities. The flags in the original ones were like green, blue, red. But other than that, it feels like the same game. I got an expansion for Port Royal from Pegasus, and I was like, ooh, I'll put them together. And I noticed that the flags were different, and the card size was slightly different, which is really annoying. So there's that. But the backs of the cards are exactly the same. So I feel like all they did was change the box and maybe the card size, really.
Okay.
Folks, don't forget, if you have any questions to ask us about a specific game that we're talking about, we'll try to answer those live, and I'm not seeing any right now. So let's go back to Eric.
Sure. So this is a game that was getting some buzz at Origins. It's Herlock Holmes from IDW Games. It's Yes.
Boo to the name. Boo to the name. Boo to the name.
It's lovely. It's just a nice little cat pun. Everybody loves a cat pun. It's Sherlock Holmes' Furiarty's Trail. So this is a deduction game. There's a whole deck of cards that range from 1 to 12 in 5 different suits. You've got different animals. So here's a dog, 9, and then there's a crow and a toad and a rat and a goose. I got them all right off the top of the deck. And they all range from 1 to 12, and there's only 1 of each card in the deck. So one of these cards is going to be drawn from the deck. You can't look at it. It's set in a little stand in front of you. So you can see what this card is, but I don't know what this card is. And the mechanism of the game is that I will play cards from my hand, and then you, as the other players, tell me whether that card is A, the same animal as what I have in front of me, or B, within 1 of the number that's in front of me. And if it fits one of those criteria, it is a lead, and if it is not, then it's a dead end. And so then I'm sorting cards as I go and looking at what's in front of me and trying to figure out what it is. I can guess at the end of my turn, or at the beginning of my turn as well, either one of the 2 aspects, either the animal or the number, or I can try and guess both. And if I'm successful, I will get point chips that are sort of laid out in the front of in the center of the table. And if I guessed 1 correctly, I'll get 1 chip, and if I guessed both correctly, I'll get 2 chips. If I fail, then I don't get to draw any cards at the end of the round. And ordinarily, I would have 2 cards in my hand, and then I get 2 cards passed to me from the previous player. So I have 4 to choose from for my investigation. I get to choose 2 of them. If I fail, I'll only get the 2 that are passed to me in the next round. So I play at a disadvantage if I mess up. Every time you go around the table, this little Furiarty token moves, and if it gets to the end, the game is over, and you count up points. And whoever has the least points, if Furiarty escapes, whoever has the least points becomes the litter box inspector. And if you catch Furiarty, if somebody manages to get enough tokens to grab him from that little track, then whoever has the most points wins the game. My kids liked this. I played this originally with my older child, my 9-year-old, and he was very interested, and the 6-year-old was drawn in immediately by the mechanisms. He became the judge and told us what the results were for all of our investigations for the rest of the game. And then my son was super upset that he couldn't find it later on the next weekend to play it again. So it's been a big hit with the kids, and I enjoy the puzzly nature of this thing. For Sherlock Holmes' Furiarty's Trail is pretty neat. I like it.
You've convinced me. No, you have not.
I have not.
Well, it might be a good game. It's not the theme. I hate the name. Like with a passion.
Wow.
That's just awful.
But Sherlock Holmes is so it works.
No, it doesn't work at all. So no one has any questions about your cat game except, do we need more cat games? And the answer to that is no. Some people did come back about Port Royale. They asked why I didn't keep the original game, and the answer is I have kept the original game. I'm comparing the 2 or talking about the 2. I'm recommending you get this one because of the ease of getting it, but I like the original one a little bit better. And then someone says, did you find it too hard to bust in Port Royale? They thought that the push your luck aspect's too soft. I do not think so. I know this because I've busted a lot.
Well, you do have that tendency.
I know not what you're talking about. All right. So let's talk about Kaiju Crush.
Ooh. This
is a good game. This is a game from Fireside Games. And in this game, you have a monster. And this game is all about, it's light, right? It's like lighter than King of Tokyo even. In this game, you have a bunch of tiles. And I'll show you the tiles. The only thing, my biggest complaint about this game, I think, is that these are the monsters. And while that's a monster, that's not a King of Tokyo monster, right? Mm-hmm. This is an okay guy, but I'm not afraid of him. What's he going to do? Bite my cheek? You have a bunch of these tiles that are out on the board, and they're going to be set up in a grid, and you have movement cards. And the movement in this game is similar to Onitama, where I have this movement card in front of me, and that's the movement that I can do this turn. But there's also a movement card in the middle of the table. If I use my movement card, I switch with that movement card. But I can always use one in the middle of the table too. So this lets me move to a space next to me. This lets me move to a space diagonally from me. There's one that lets you move like a knight. And so you move. You land on a tile and you destroy that tile because you are a gigantic monster.
Crush everything.
My brain keeps going off tonight. But anyhow, you move and you crush these cities. But if you land next to somebody else, you can fight them. Or if you land on them, you can fight them. You cannot land on a crushed city spot. So the game's going to end when people can no longer move and you're forced to pass. So you got to be careful not to trap yourself in some kind of spot where you can't get out. As you crush these spots, you're going to get points. But you can also get points by fighting other kaiju. And you do that by this rock, paper, scissors type thing. Each player has a set of cards that are theirs. And when you get into a fight, you draw 5 cards. You each play a card at the same time. And so you have, for example, you have tail and you have claws and you have something else, feet, right? And one of them beats the other. I can't even remember right now. There's a thing in the rule book and on the board and on your cards themselves. You each have a character card that shows you. It's a rock, paper, scissors thing. But I do know that the flame breath beats all of them. So it's the best one to play, except for the horns here. I mean, the scales beats the flame breath, but it loses to everything else. So it's kind of like a rock, paper, scissors, flame breath, scales.
Rock, paper, lizard, Spock. Like rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock.
No, but rock, paper, lizard, Spock is not. Rock, paper, lizard, Spock is not the same thing, because that's just rock, paper, scissors in 5 different directions. You know, it's just, you can make a rock, paper, scissors game. You can look it up on the internet with 25 or even 100 different things. It's just that each thing beats half of the other stuff and loses to the other half. You know, it's just that's how they work. That's the same way rock, paper, scissors, Spock works. But in this game, the breath beats 3 things and loses to only 1. So you're probably going to want to play this because it's almost a guaranteed win, except it's not. You know, and so there's a little bit of fun to that. It's guessing, of course. And like I said, there's some special abilities. And when you beat somebody, then you draw a tile for winning the battle, and you get 1 to 3 victory points for doing that. You also can steal someone's blown up land if you go on and attack them. The game promotes attacking, and honestly, I could have pushed the tiles away and just played this stupid paper rock scissors game like 20 times. Well, we did, because it's just fun to attack other players. But that is Kaiju Crush. It's very, very light, but silly fun. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Last for me is it's a cooperative game from Peaceable Kingdom. It's called Engineering Ants, a creative cooperative building game. It says that you can only get it at Target stores. My son got this as a gift for his birthday, and I was really anxious to try it out, because Peaceable Kingdom is the same company that did Mole Rats in Space from Matt Leacock, and they've been producing a lot of, you know, young children cooperative games. And so I really wanted to try this out. This is a game where you're trying to rescue a bunch of ants that have gotten sort of stranded, and you've got a very simple... Why
are you rescuing ants?
Why? Because they got stranded. They've left. They've left the anthill, and they're in sort of outer sections of the board. And there is an anteater that is working its way closer to the anthill, and he will progress when certain values show up on a die. You're moving along the path, and when you run into some sort of obstacle, there's a bunch of face down and face up obstacles that are out there, you then have to creatively figure out how to get past that obstacle. So say it's a river, and this box has a ton of building components in it, like little rods, and you connect these cardboard pieces together and form multi-layer. There's some wings. There's a ladder, and as a group, you figure out how you're going to get past this obstacle. There's a trampoline. These are really thick, solid tiles that are meant to be building components, And you come up with a way to get past the obstacle. And once everybody agrees, yes, that would get past the obstacle, you then move past it. And you have to save all of the ants before the anteater reaches the anthill. This is cool from a building perspective, from a STEM engineering creativity perspective. As a game, it's not a game. It's
interesting.
Yes, it's interesting in the way that you want it to be interesting and stimulating for your children. But it's not a game. It's basically, do I roll enough movement to get to where I need to go before the anteater reaches the anthill? That's all, because it's virtually impossible. In fact, there aren't even any rules for failing an obstacle. You will eventually figure it out, and all agree that you figured out a way to do it. You could also make an airship that will likely get past every obstacle in the game. So, yes, big plus for creativity, but I think replay value on this is pretty low, and it's going to become just a building kit in another couple of plays.
Well, here's the deal. Nobody has any questions about this game, but they do want to know, what is that behind you? Half the people think it's a hot dog, half the people think it's a banana, and one person thinks it's Pickle Rick.
Woo! This is my stuffed and unstrung Jim Henson Company hot dog. Stuffed and Unstrung is a like an improv show that uses puppets. And so I got this guy as a souvenir when I went to see the improv show.
Thank you. All right. So now that we've clarified that debate. All right. Well, next game, last game for me is Baldur's Gate Never Split the Party. Or Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. Now, Eric, you've played Betrayal at House on the Hill, I think, right?
I have indeed.
Okay, so Betrayal at Baldur's Gate is the exact same game. Well, not quite. Okay, it takes place in Baldur's Gate. Have you played Baldur's Gate, Eric?
I have not.
Well, that's something you need to get fixed. But
okay.
So you played Betrayal at House on the Hill. For people who haven't played it before, you're going to start in like this area here, and you have a kitchen, an inner chamber, and a elf song tavern, and you're going to go through and turn over cards. So you'll go into like another room. So let's find a room that Eric will go into. So Eric's going to go out into the street, and he finds himself in Ambush Alley.
That sounds pleasant. Yeah.
Great place. So when it happens, you draw an event card. So Eric says, a vampiric mist. Fog drifts towards you. A rat runs into it, and you hear a loud squeak. As the fog wafts forward, you see the husk of the rodent. So then Eric has to make a knowledge roll. So we check his character. And Eric is playing as Tasha Brightbottle. All right. He did not know he was playing as this person. And he would look at, they each have 4 stats on them. You can see they have speed, might, sanity, and knowledge. And this is, what kind of roll was this? It was a knowledge roll. So you have these little sliders on here. So her knowledge starts at 4. So she'll roll 4 dice. These dice have 1s or 2s on them. So Eric rolls, and I don't feel like pulling out the dice. So we'll just say he got the worst possible roll.
Oh, okay.
It must only kill rats, you say to yourself as you walk through the fog. Take 1 point of physical damage. However, if you had rolled higher, you would have figured out that it was vampiric mist, and you would have run away and gained 1 speed. And so that's like most of the game. You're just going around and drawing these things, and they're kind of, you find these weird items, you find omens, and at a certain point, you will discover an omen. So if you look here, you'll look in this Trader's Tome that says, do not read. I'm a rebel.
You're reading it, yeah.
But you are allowed to look in the beginning of the Trader's Tome. At a certain point, the haunt will start. And you're going to look at one of these pages. You'll look and say, okay, I found this item, and I found it in this location. And then it will tell you that's the haunt that starts. And you'll go, okay. And the trader will look through the trader book and find the haunt there. It will tell you who the trader is, too. So it might be Eric. It might be me. And in 1/5 of these missions, there is no trader. It's a pure cooperative game. And then everyone else reads The Secrets of Survival, which also says do not read. That's actually until the haunt begins. And then they go through and they read what they're supposed to do. And you have the rules to the game. And so, for example, you can go online and watch a live game where we played a co-op version of this, and we fought against a dragon. A dragon showed up, and there was no traitor, and we just had to fight. We had to rescue the dragon's eggs, and we did miserably. But some person could beat the traitor. Now, Eric, what were your opinions on the original Betrayal at House on the Hill?
It's a fun experience. I enjoyed the exploration and the variability of the scenarios, but it was very easy, depending on how the haunts and the tiles came out, to get either stuck or with a very unbalanced scenario, a very frustrating scenario. Also, the secrecy aspect was a little frustrating because when the haunt begins, whoever's the traitor has to go off and read their part of the book, and then the rest of the group reads their part of the book, and sometimes it's not terribly clear what your goals are once you get back into the room together, and that became very frustrating, not knowing what I was supposed to be doing.
Well, so far, I haven't noticed any of that in here. There might be broken scenarios. I haven't played through all of them, obviously, but I haven't noticed that. Secondly, they fixed a few things. One of the biggest complaints about the original game was the clips and how they slid off and came out to be a problem. Well, the new clips, they look like this, and you stick them on, and you can see they're really firm.
Yay!
Still on.
Yes.
Still on. In fact, they're almost too firm to the point where they might mess the cardboard up if you're not careful. Let's see if there's any other questions that people had about this. Oh, so I should say, I like it. It's a little horror-y in the D&D universe, but not too horror-y. It's, you know, you're running into vampires and skeletons and mists, oh my. But it works pretty well. It's one of those games that I play once a year. We have a fantastic time, get into the theme of it, and then we put it away and we pull it out when we want to have a fun theme. Let's see, any other questions that people asked here? They're mostly split between, is it good or not? You know, whether they like the original one or not. So it's kind of iffy there.
So this has more cooperative aspects than the original?
Yeah, I think in the original game there was like one cooperative thing, maybe. There wasn't many. This one definitely there's 10, and there's only 50 haunts. I did the math.
Okay, good.
I'll check it again, but I think that's 1/5. This is my calculator. Sorry.
Oh,
it's an ancient calculator.
Are you loopy again?
It's been a week. It's been a week. I've got a lot of interesting emails this week.
I'll bet.
So, yeah, I'm a little bit loopy. Sorry.
Okay.
I want to be able to do these and get these better, and it always bugs me when I can't do the Hangouts better. See, one of the things we want to talk about here tonight, and this is our segue, is the technical aspect of things. And I thought that me and Eric could explain a little bit to you guys a little bit about what we do on our channel. And let me pull this up here so I can see your questions. So if you have a question in this regard, feel free to ask us. But we'll talk a little bit about the audio and the technical parts of this. The thing is that, and I've said this so many times to people, and I wish I could like emblazon this, is that live stuff is by far the hardest thing to do, by a mile. To do something live because you can't go back and fix it in post. Like today, we were recording a game that we were playing. We weren't doing it live. We were recording a game. At some point, someone, and I'm not going to mention who, knocked over a light, which knocked over a deck of cards that needed to be in a very specific order.
Okay. All right.
That we then couldn't look at. And I had to hand them to Derek, since he wasn't playing this game, so that he could sort them back out and fix them, and so that we could then look at these cards that were supposed to be in that very specific order.
That was appropriately vague. Yes, good, good.
The thing is, though, if it had been live, we wouldn't be able to do that. It would all be happening live. And when you have a problem live, you have to fix it live. And everyone says, oh, there's, you know, the audio's no good, the video's no good. You're like, what should I do right now? Switch cameras in the middle of this? And it can be frustrating. And not to mention internet hangups and all sorts of things can cause a problem. And so, you know, we even get feedback on this. And we really want to do our best. And I think that we've improved even over our first test. Things are better. We got Eric out of his cave. We got pretty good webcams.
I'm plugged in. My laptop is plugged in.
Yes, my brain is not plugged in. We're switching this time back and forth. But that's a little bit, there's just stuff going on. We're using Google Hangouts to do this, and I don't even know how to run all Google Hangouts. I still can't figure out how to show the other people at the bottom of the page. And I've seen it on other people's Google Hangouts, and yet I can't find this exact question. A lot of the problems we run into, especially when streaming live, is that I'm like, well, how do I show a board game better? And no one does it. Hardly anyone does this stuff live, so you can't. Everyone does video games. So you learn as you go. But we have learned a little bit about the audio podcast. So, Eric, what equipment do you use for the audio show?
Well, do you want me to make people slightly ill? I can turn the camera over into the booth.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, we'll do it nice and slow. Okay, here's the camera. Hello. I'm lifting you up now. Here we go.
Lift me up.
This is my recording booth. Da-da-dum, da-da-dum. That is where I usually record. I sit in front of a desk and a microphone.
Do you not throw away any of your con badges?
No. Because some of them have really nice things. Like the Dice Tower Con one says the golden voice or the velvet voice. I want to keep that.
What if I'm going to make it say something bad next year?
Oh, you already did that. You said the voice of Count Chocula one year.
That was it. Yeah,
that was you. That was you. Yes. But yeah, I probably should stop doing that. Anyway, I have my booth. That's where I usually do my day job. And there's a desk in there with a mic on a swivel. And so I talk into the mic. I've got headphones in there as well. I can hear myself. And that audio goes directly through my mixing board into an audio machine that's behind the webcam. And I record my half of the conversation. At the same time, I'm listening to either a phone call or a Skype call in headphones of Tom talking and our guest talking. And so I hear them, but that does not come through my part of the recording. Tom and our guest record their parts of the conversation and send it to me, and I stitch it together on that machine that's behind the webcam.
That sounds so easy when you say it that way. I tend to use this microphone here. It is a Yeti microphone. I think it works very well. Obviously, I have a popper stopper. Eric convinced me to use this a long time ago. First, he made me put a sock over the microphone. But you can breathe through this. It doesn't hit the microphone, especially when you're, if you get really close, you can still have those problems. But the Yeti microphone's not so bad without the popper stopper anyway. So I just been so used to using it. Although I had to find a specific model that fit onto the Yeti microphone, because most popper stoppers are meant to fit onto an actual real live microphone. And it's a different style, which I found annoying. For recording purposes, we record through Skype. I use something called Call Recorder. Really snappy program. It's been giving Eric some headaches for the last 6 months. But we tried it without it, and the headaches it gave me were worse than any minor headaches I give Eric.
Oh, good. I'm glad to know the reasoning.
Now, one of the things that we do, and let me see if I can do this properly here. I'm going to see if I can show somebody like our show. I'm going to see if I can show people one of our show notes. So let me pull up a show notes here on a computer, because I'm pretty sure I can share my screen with people.
Ooh.
So on my Google Drive, we have I have a folder called Audio Scripts, and in this Audio Scripts, there is a ton of audio. So I'm going to pull up our 523 show notes, and I'm going to make these live here. The problem is I just lost where there's Google Hangouts. All right, so how do I show? There it is, screen share. Your screen, share it.
Ah! It's like an infinite loop. I'm seeing myself. What's happening?
Oh, that's my email. Whoops. That's Seventh Continent. Why am I on that? Nope, that's my Indiegogo page. Where did it go? For crying out loud, it disappeared. Oh, there it is. Okay, here's my script. All right, so you can look at the script here, and you can see that we have the episode, we have the numbers, and Eric writes his weird things here. We talk about the games that were played. I put some things here that I'm supposed to remember, and I am so used to seeing them now that I skip over them.
Yep.
We then have the games that played, a tale of amazement. Then we have Jeff's thing in here. We have the questions. At the bottom, we have a top 10 list, and I will italicize anything that someone else says later on down the list. Then we have the people's choice, and then Eric writes his whole script that he reads at the end. And this is actually a really important thing for us to do. Let me see if I can now. There we go, back to the craziness. Stop.
You're back.
So that script, I can't tell you guys how important that script is for us. To the point where if I don't get the script done, I try to work on the script that days ahead of time. And if I don't, Eric's like, come on, where's the script? And it's a really useful thing for us to have. And it gives us some semblance of this is how we follow that script. And I am never a person to read off a script. I really don't like doing it at all. But I like having points to follow, because otherwise you just ramble and go off on different points. If you'll notice in my videos, I'll use a clipboard, which is an old version of an iPad, to keep track of my words. And this is what I'm going to do next. Don't click. Okay, so that was a Castle Wolfenstein screen. I'm looking to see. Any questions about the behind the scenes of the Dice Tower? We'll answer general questions in a bit. But do you have any questions about behind the scenes here? There's a couple things that I cannot recommend highly enough. One is Dropbox. Dropbox has changed the Dice Tower. We use Dropbox for everything. I'm finally converting Eric over to it. Dropbox is a handy thing because you have this file folder on your computer. You drop stuff in there, and other people can work on them. I can't remember how we survived before Dropbox. It's just a really handy thing. Dropbox and Google Docs are the two things I use more than anything else for sharing stuff with other people. The other thing, the third tool in the online sharing thing is our Slack group. And because the Slack is something that someone convinced me to use last year, I started using it, and it works phenomenally well. As you can talk internally between everyone in the, like we have a Dice Tower Slack, and we have different channels in that Slack for all the different people. And me, Eric, Mandy, and Suzanne will talk in one channel. I'll talk to all the reviewers in another channel. I'll talk to Board Game Breakfast people in another channel. And it just made it a lot easier. The question here is, what do we use to edit our audio?
Well, I use Adobe Audition once I get everything together. That's the same software I use for my audiobook work. It allows me to do multi-track recordings. And so it was very easy for me to just, start using that for the podcast as well. I will load the files into a multi-track, and then I can compress and extend things. Sometimes Tom and I talk over each other. And because the tracks are recorded separately, I can
never talk over each other.
We never... Exactly. And there's never any awkward pauses. So I can remove those or separate those things and make the pacing work a little better. Sometimes tracks get off sync. Skype, if you've ever tried to sync Skype tracks, that gets a little weird because of the compression of audio. 10 seconds of a Skype recording may not be the same as 10 seconds of a local recording. And so I have to sort of move things around and adjust to make a coherent whole.
If you ever want to know how important of a job Eric has done, you can listen to Mandy and Suzanne's podcast, because I do what Eric does on that podcast. So I use Audacity. I think Audacity is a really powerful tool. I've used Audition in the past, but it's kind of like using a steamroller to spread a little tiny piece of dirt around. It's just so robust and huge. Audacity is much more user-friendly, with the exception of setting it up to export MP3 files. But other than that, it's pretty user-friendly. And it works like a charm. And so when Eric's done, he sends that back to me, and then I put all the clips in order. Occasionally I'll mess with a couple things, timing-wise. I'm trying to get everything to fade in and fade out at the right moments. And then I export it. I levelate it. an amazing program that I don't think our show needs to be levelated as much as it used to be. I might even stop levelating it soon. Well, we have the third guest though, so there's that.
That helps.
But it mattered a lot more when we had different contributors on because they were all different volumes, and the levelator just finished that all out. But we levelate everything at Dice Tower. We levelate all of the video, all the audio of our videos before we post them. So let's see. Do we have any other questions about this? Do I script my reviews? I do not. I think really hard about them in my head. So I kind of audio script them. I kind of mentally script them. And let's see. What's the most frustrating thing that made you record? Again, video or podcast episodes.
The most frustrating thing to re-record? That's what they're asking?
I feel that's what they're saying.
We have had entire segments, maybe like 20 minutes or so, that we've had to redo. And that's super fun because when we do a conversation and maybe get some really good jokes in there that at the time are very spontaneous, to try and recreate those, you can try and figure it out when that's happened before on the show.
Well, it's also the expression of surprise. My number 6 game is Formula D. And you're like, what?
What?
The second time you're like, what? It's this, you're trying not to sound, or sometimes we don't even act surprised. We're like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Because we were prepared for it after the first time. So let's see here. Yeah, but that is frustrating. Fortunately, we've never had it happen to an entire show, I don't think.
No, we've always managed to catch it. Although now that I think about it, I think there have been maybe some audio issues that we didn't catch until listening to the files afterward. And so then we have to we've had to do the apology and said, yeah, we know it's not the way we wanted. A switch was flipped, or we had buffering issues, or whatever it is. And hopefully we made it listenable enough that it wasn't too frustrating. Let's see.
Do you review the component drops and do retakes if not enough bouncing? I've redone. No, listen, I've redone them sometimes because I'm like, that wasn't big enough. That wasn't splashy enough. Ever since I got the new component drop target, though, that's made life a lot easier. Because before I had the target, I would like say, okay, this is where I'm going to drop on the camera.
Okay.
Right here, I'd push my finger on the table a little bit, then I'd drop them, and it would drop off there. And I'm like, the target, now I drop them on the target, and I already have the target centered on the camera. Yep. So that makes life a lot easier. I very rarely redo them. Or sometimes I dump them out, and like a bunch of plastic bags in the bottom of the box fall out. I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot those were in there. And that looks kind of, nowadays I'm just leaving that in. But yes. Is there a time Dice Tower starts in the morning? Yeah, when I decide to go in, anywhere between 7 and 9. What time do I leave? Anywhere between 5 and 6 usually. And I will work from home at night a little bit too. A lot of it. Do you need to pay for Dropbox now? You can use a free version of Dropbox, but that's crazy because the bigger version of Dropbox is like $99 a year, and that's totally worth it in my opinion. It's so useful. Let's see here. Eric, how many hours can you record audiobooks in one time? I guess at once. What's the longest you've gone in a row?
Yeah. I usually try and go about 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours. If I go too much longer than that, it's not that my voice dies, it's that my brain gives out on me. I start making more mistakes. I start getting a little mush-mouthed. It becomes a lot more of a slog, and occasionally I'll have to push through if we're on a deadline or something and trying to get through the last chapter or two of a book before the end of the day rather than getting it to the next day. Then I will try and work my way through it and try and get that last hour or so in. So maybe 6 hours is the max that I could handle, like a 9:30 to 3:30. That's a lot, but I've done it.
Someone asked about the videos, and at the end of some of the videos, Eric's voice is getting covered up with music. So this is what's happened in that regard. When I do a video project, Board Game Breakfast or crowd surfing today, they're built of a lot of different pieces in Final Cut Pro. I would show you now, but then we would have that horrible screen thing again. Some other time I'll show you guys what it looks like in Final Cut Pro, one of my projects. And so you go through and there's little music pieces and stuff, and I fade some of the music in, fade some out, make it silence, and then I levelate the whole thing. Once I levelate it, unfortunately, Final Cut Pro does not have a function where you can tell an audio track to cover up all other audio tracks. I wish it did. So instead, I mute everything else in the video, and then I put the levelated audio in, export it, and then I'm done. After I export, though, I have to Control-Z twice. Take out the program and then unmute everything. Because if I don't do that and I shut the program down and I forget about it, open it up later, I'm like, oh, yeah. So then I can take the file out, the levelated file out, and everything is still muted. There is no unmute button. You can just normalize everything. So I make everything just goes back to normal. But that takes all my fading in and out, and it makes some music come back that I had silenced and forgot about because it's usually silent. And so in the outro, there's a clip we have that has music, which is, I don't want that music. So I take that music out, but now it's back in and I forgot that it was there. I don't check the end of the video because it's set. I don't normally mess with it. And so that's what happens. Did that make sense?
No, it did not.
Okay, well, you weren't listening.
I mean, okay, it makes sense. I get it.
All right, let's see. Any other questions about, I'm looking for questions about our audio stuff or video stuff. How long can Eric talk on a single breath?
I've never tried, but we did test it at the Jack Vasel auction at Dice Tower Con this past summer. They gave me a stack of like 30 games and then told me to list them all in one breath. I failed, but I got close.
You didn't fail. You failed?
I think well, maybe I made it. I think I might have gotten through 25 games, and then they tried to give me 30, and I snuck a breath or two.
Yeah. Are you still editing the shows that Manny and Suzanne are doing, or they edit their own material? They kind of edit parts of it, and then I do the final editing. They'll send me their separate tracks. I put their tracks together. I spend some time putting each track together. I work on that. Then I put them all in the show with the intros and outros. For some reason, I haven't been saving the project. And today I was like, or I guess yesterday I was like, why don't I save this? It would save me a lot of work. I'm just not used to saving Audacity projects. I didn't used to save Audacity projects because they were so big, you were a fool to save them. Now they're still the same size, but our computer's storage spaces have gotten so gigantic. It's really amazing sometimes how much we take for granted space-wise, but you guys would be surprised at how much space video and audio takes up. Even audio takes up huge amounts. I used to keep every Dice Tower show ever. It's really hard to do.
Yeah. Video too. I've had to clear out space on my machine just so I can record the next book. Otherwise, if you fill up your computer too much, it starts to cause issues for the temporary files and stuff.
With the new studios, have you guys ever recorded multiple times at the same time, or are they all done in one room? We now have 2 recording studios set up. One is mostly me, and Sam and Z do the other one because I review about as much as they both do put together. I mean, I got Derek editing my videos, and I just like to edit a lot. But I mean, I like to review a lot. But so I review in the one room. You'll notice there's a brick wall. I don't review in front of the wall of games as much. We're going to decorate that brick wall. Maybe someone can help me out on this one. I want to put decorations on the brick wall. I want to put some like Dice Tower logos, but I don't want to put a sticker on because that looks tacky. I feel like it should look like it's graffitied on. And short of hiring a graffiti artist and bringing it into my house, I mean, kidnapping a teenager, right? Bringing him to my house. How do you do that? Is there like can you get a stencil made? I'm trying to think of a way to do it because I think graffiti on the bricks would look really cool of like different Dice Tower things, but I can't think of how to do it. I would love to watch reviews in the morning, but you post most videos in the afternoon. Ever consider scheduling some reviews to upload earlier? This question gets asked every once in a while, and it's really funny to me because if you can't watch the videos in the afternoon, you can watch them in the morning of the next day. They haven't gone away.
They want new reviews in the morning, Tom. They want to be the first ones to see them before all those afternoon people.
I guess. The reason I upload them is because I've kept track of the #1 viewing time for videos, and it's 1 and 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I think that's because Europe is home and they're all watching videos. Apparently, no one in America works in the afternoon, and they watch them. And the folks over in Asia, they can watch them a little bit. It's going to be super late for them, but there's still a few people up. I just found that it's the best time. So if you'll notice every week, every day, we have a bunch of videos that go up at 1, and then I usually pick one video I think will be the biggest video of the day. It goes up at 2. It's just me guessing, though. Do you get ideas from watching other reviewers on YouTube? And I'll throw this in here for Eric too. Do you ever get ideas for stuff from listening to other podcasts?
Yeah, sure. Occasionally. I mean, we try and stick to what we've been doing for a while and come up with our own things. But occasionally, well, so Suzanne and Mandy are being very specific about naming artists, designers, and publishers whenever they mention a game. And I thought, that's a good idea. I should put in the effort and look up that stuff as well. So I've been trying to do that on our episodes as well. I mean, I would love to maybe steal the Battle of Wits now that show's not on the air. But yeah, if it's a good idea, it could work. Maybe borrow it for a little bit.
And without being high and haughty, because this is not meant to be that way, sometimes I get ideas because I'll listen to a podcast and I'll go, is that what we sound like? A good example of this is I listen to a lot of podcasts and I'm in and out of the podcast for whatever reason. I'm like, what are they talking about? Hopefully they'll say the name at the end of this, and they don't. And I'm like, ooh, do we do that? Yeah. So we have made a conscious effort to always end our whatever we're talking about a game with the name of that game. And really, we should make an effort to talk about it throughout the thing too. But I forget to do that more often. But I'll listen sometimes to some people, and they'll be doing something like, I don't really enjoy that, or I do really enjoy that. Maybe we'll do some more of that on our show. Oh, that person is listening to the other person.
Maybe we should do a little more of that on the show. Yeah.
See, it's really weird, though. I really like when I talk about a game, and I like Eric going, yes, he does that, and he does a really good job. So Eric will do it, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make those noises. All right. I'm like, that sounds so fake. Fake. I can't do it. It just feels fake to me. My preferred method of listening is silent. I like to sit there and go, Oh, you guys can't even see what I'm doing here because Eric laughed. All right, but yes, that's what it is. How much do you normally cut from audio and video, record it for final versions? Let's talk about audio first.
Very little, unless there's some sort of mistake, an actual factual error, and that's when you hear future Eric jump in. But rarely, unless it's some sort of technical issue, do we cut stuff out. I guess there's occasionally those things that just doesn't work. You try and phrase something and it doesn't materialize into a coherent sentence. You just say, oh, okay, let's redo that, and we will cut that stuff out because it's not worth keeping that unless it adds to the discussion. Unless it's funny. If it's funny, then I'll often try and leave it in. But I would say no more than a couple minutes in any episode get taken out.
And let me say this. For those of you who want to be a podcaster or are a podcaster and are listening for advice, if you say in your podcast, you're blah, 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 and someone mess up and you go, we'll cut that out later, then cut it out later. I've heard many podcasts where like, we'll fix this in post. And then they don't. You're better off just not saying it. Unless they're joking, maybe that's what's going on. But yeah, it's really weird. We don't cut out that much, actually, do we?
No, no.
Let's see here. Silhouette Crafters can do that for you. You get a custom fat head decal. I don't even know what that is, but I got a lot of good things here. Yeah, this is something I really want to do. I would love to have like the dice guys all chalked onto the boards, or at least where it looks like it. Everyone's wondering about Seventh Continent. Why am I not talking about it here? Because I didn't bring Seventh Continent here. Yeah, I'll be talking about it in the next audio show. How do I know this? Because it's written in the show notes.
You're working ahead. You got it. I haven't played it yet. I'm looking forward to playing it. I'm doing Falcon next weekend, a week from Friday, and I'm signed up to play it. So I'm hoping I get a chance to do so.
You know, someone just mentioned here about a top 10 artists thing. People ask it all the time, and I'm like, guys, artists would be really boring on the audio show. It might be interesting on this show.
Maybe. We did do a top 10 artists, I think, didn't we?
We did, but like people like, what are top 10 box covers or whatever? I think we've done that before, but I don't normally do it because you can't really say much, but maybe we could bring them and show them. Ooh, and to the camera.
That would be a good idea.
How often do you restart a sentence or discussion due to verbal mistakes?
Rarely.
It mostly happens in our show. It mostly happens on Eric's end. But that's not because Eric's bad or anything. It's because he has to read the tail of whatever.
Yes. The tails usually have a mistake or two in them. Just because it's also, think this is the end of the day. I've been narrating all day. And so doing another script, it's fun. I love doing it. But I'm not quite as on as I am at, say, like 9:30, 10 in the morning.
All right, a couple more minutes. We start a little bit late, so we'll end a little bit late. But a couple quick random questions. Eric, what are your Pandemic Legacy 2 expectations?
Oh, boy. Well, I'm hoping there's some exploration because there's only that tiny little island at the beginning. I've seen the back of the box, but I'm hoping there's some exploration where I get to discover new things. I'm expecting that. See, I don't want to spoil Pandemic 1.
That's true.
I'm hoping for new colors. New colors I haven't seen before. Yeah, new colors. But yeah, I'm psyched and I'm very jealous because I think Tom's been playing it.
You can't prove nothing. My expectations are, it seems like it'll be fun. I don't know. Let's see here. People are talking about art. I'm not seeing any other questions here. Have we ever considered doing a mystery top 10 and let the audience guess what the theme is?
Oh, you mean just start listing games and see if they can figure out what it is?
My number 10. Fan Hunter, Urban Warfare. Number 9, No Thank You Evil. Number 8, Word Rush. You're like, games that Tom's has up above his desk. You're right.
Then we can all argue about whether it fits the mystery theme or not.
That one definitely does not belong here. All right. I'm not seeing any more questions here. Let me just quick do a check. Do you plan to sell Dice Tower polo shirts or just stick with the t-shirts? I don't know. Polo shirts are much more expensive, and it's harder to get things on them, like the little logos here. It's possible. We'll consider it, but for now, just the t-shirts. Hey, by the way, I guess I should take this point to always pop this in here. Do you know there's only 6 rooms left for the Dice Tower cruise? 6.
Only 6?
Yeah.
Wow.
And all the inside rooms are gone. There's only ocean view and balconies.
Well, those are pretty because you can see the ocean.
Yeah, really. They're the best rooms anyway. Not that the inside room is bad. It's certainly cheaper, but, you know, being able – and if I was stuck in an inside room, I'd be okay. I just would spend very little time in it. I'd be like, let's go sit on the outside because it's just that nice. Yeah, we're really excited about the cruise. A couple more announcements are going to be made, but we can't talk about them. But, like, for example, things we can talk about, Scott Nicholson's going to be on the cruise. And he's
Wow.
going to be doing at one afternoon, like, hey, design a game and work together, like a little seminar, a hands-on type thing that you can go to. And Mandy and Suzanne are going to be on the cruise, so that's exciting. Lots of publishers, designers, and so I'm pretty pleased about what's happening here. Jason has been talking my ear off about the cruise, and I keep saying, Jason, Essen. Essen is
We got to get through Germany first.
Really close. Let me do that first.
Now, we have flights figured out now, right?
Yeah. I haven't got my money back yet, though.
For those of you who don't know, Air Berlin is insolvent, and many of us had flights on Air Berlin. So that's been fun this week, figuring out that. Yeah,
it was kind of a weird thing. And the thing is, I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who got any notice of it. Did you ever get notice?
I did. I booked my tickets through Travelocity, and they eventually sent an email saying, you need to call us right now because significant changes have been made to your trip that may impact your flight plans.
But didn't I tell you first before that happened?
You told me before that. I had already talked to them and sort of got the ball rolling. But yeah, they've been dealing with this for the past several days. I think they were rolling out how they told people and didn't tell everyone's flights at once. It's very weird.
Well, that was a weird thing. Fortunately, the thing was, though, we were all like flying in with like a 30-minute time frame.
Yeah.
It was great. Now we're kind of all spread out. So it is what it is. So that's Eric's birthday present for his 40th birthday.
Yay. Thanks.
Well, if this works out and if I get my money back, I shouldn't lose any money on it. So if I don't get the money back, then I'm in severe hurt. But we can hope.
My credit card thinks we'll be able to do it, but
yeah, mine said the same thing. But I talked to him Friday, and I still haven't seen it show up in the account. So I don't know if I should, keep calling them and bugging them, or if I should go back to playing boring games that I've been playing all week. Here's the deal, and I'll say this. I'm going to try to be very general about this. I was saying today that I'm not sure I will be happy if in a few years there are 5 or 6 legacy games at any given point, because we're not going to be able to give them all a fair shake. And at that point, if a legacy game is like bad by game 3, out. Because there's just so much, play that goes into them. They need to grab you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a random thought I had of the day.
You can't, well, it's true. You can't devote the entire play arc of a legacy game if there are going to be 4 or 5 legacy games out at once. That's going to be very tricky.
How much were the tickets, someone asked? Just average $1,000 a person or so. Some more, some less, but we'll see. Jason had the easiest time of his because he bought his ticket through American Airlines, and since he bought it through them, they switched his ticket. He's now flying through Iberian Airlines through Spain.
Oh, wow.
We're flying through Delta now, and Eric's flying. What are you flying through?
Air France on the way there and KLM on the way back.
KLM?
KLM. I get to go through Amsterdam.
Okay.
And see Paris as well.
Oh, we need to put up our Essen schedule. Yeah, that should be going up soon because I finished it. So I'll post when we'll be at the booth, so you can come by and see your favorite people. They'll all be at the booth. So we got that set up. So that'll be interesting. And I've scheduled up a gazillion meetings. I'm very, very pleased about that. But it is what it is. I still like going, and we're still pumped. We'll talk a little bit more about Essen in our next Dice Tower Live. Our next Dice Tower Live is going to be in 2 weeks. Now, I just know we did one back-to-back, but that was just so we could get the ball rolling. Our next one will be in 2 weeks. It will be, and then after that, it should be every 2 weeks. Next one is the week before Essen, and then we'll do one the week after Essen. Okay. And the week before Essen, we'll talk a little bit about prep for Essen. The week after Essen, we'll give our thoughts on Essen. That's pretty easy enough. For the audio podcast, for those of you, a podcast went up yesterday from Mandy and Suzanne. A podcast from me, Eric, and special guest will go up next Tuesday. The following Tuesday, you're going to have a podcast from me, Eric, Suzanne, and Mandy all together. That will be our Essen preview podcast, and then we'll go back to Mandy and Suzanne and so on. So you'll see some crossovers as the year goes by between all 4 of us. and our pre-Essen show will be one of them.
Plus the Essen show with all of us, plus Sam and Z.
No, I cut them.
Oh, okay, good.
No, I didn't cut. That's right. There's like 6 of us now. We have too many hosts. Too many hosts spoil the podcast. All right, folks. Well, until next time, I guess we'll end here. We appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. But until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Eric Summerer.
Thanks for joining us as we're still working out the kinks of this. Like I said, we're going to try to get better mics that work specifically for this kind of podcast. And we'll try to get, the picture in better, and maybe I'll comb my hair at some point. But anyway, until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm still Eric Summerer, yes.
And you've been watching The Dice Tower.
Thanks for watching. Promotional consideration has been provided by game publishers in the form of review copies of games. If all goes well, Tom and I will see you in 2 weeks for another installment. Our show is supported by viewers like you. Thank you. Dice Tower Tonight is produced by Tom and me, with assistance from Derek Porter and Rob Searing. The age-old debate of Chardonnay versus Merlot provided by This War of Wine. Timothy Pinkham composed our theme, and hosting is provided by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games at great prices at coolstuffinc.com. Give us your feedback on the Dice Tower Guild at Board Game Geek, on Facebook or Twitter, or by emailing us at dicetower@gmail.com. And don't forget to visit the other shows in the Dice Tower Network. Find something new at dicetowernetwork.com. Until next time, from all of us at the Dice Tower, have fun gaming.
Yay!